What is going on, everybody? Today I want to start working on my brother's car because I feel like it's been neglected, but really I didn't just push it off. Really, it's just I bought this aluminum radiator, right? And was trying to make it work as far as, ouch, like trying to get it mounted here, but the traction bar is pretty much blocking the radiator mounting points. Sorry, my hair is in the way. Where's it at? Right here, right? And I don't have a place to mount it, so I originally had thought that well, not that originally I thought, I was going to modify the support right here at the bottom and have the radiator sit somewhere here, and then make a new place for the radiator to sit, right? That's why I bought this bar right here, this flat rebar or whatever you want to call it. Right? It was going to sit somewhere there, cut this out, make a new location for the radiator, and then I would have to take off this, cut this off, and weld it onto the side, which is where this radiator hose comes from, and sorry, and mount it. There's coolant shit. It was supposed to go like that into the radiator if it was to been relocated here, obviously, because this is in the way of the traction bar if I mounted it here, if that makes any sense. Now I got coolant all over my hand. But what I am probably going to be doing right now is take off the traction bar, reinstall the stock cross member, pull those tabs back out for the radiator tabs for the radiator to sit on, and see if that'll allow me to mount this radiator without cutting this neck right here, and then make some custom hoses or something to make it fit. Alright, so kind of threw the cross member under the car and lined up the two bolts, and the flaps for the trans mount was definitely in the way of the oil pan. The only thing I'm worried about right now is this being in the way and this being really close to the oil pan. But the motor's solid enough that it's not going to rock to hit this, so I'm not going to modify that. But I'm a little worried about this right here, because as you can see, that washer is right here in the back, and look where this washer's at. So you got about that much of a lip of this section right here that's going to be real close to right here, and there's not that many room in between. So originally I was going to pull the forks off and loosen up the 17s for the radius rod so I can pull the traction bar out, right? And then totally forgot that it utilizes the stock radius rod. So I'm just going to unbolt it there from that 19 or 17, whatever that is, and pull the cross member out and take these two off and slide these two on without having to remove the forks and the wheels and all that shenanigan. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And like I said, I'm hoping to get this radiator at least mounted in the car and maybe start pulling the dash apart so I can redo the line here. I ordered a dash 3 from Rywire, which is a 53 inch. Hopefully that's long enough to go from here to the inside and some. I got the new dash 4, dash 3 line, whichever it was that I bought. So I'm gonna change the rubberized one out, bleed that out, maybe, we'll see. So yeah, I gotta get rolling on this before the sun goes down. Okay, so the only issue I'm having is right there. You can see how it is. I don't have my flashlight on. You can see it's hitting right there. So all I gotta do is trim that tab a little bit to clear the oil pan so I can bring the cross member up. And then once I do, it should clear, because this oil pan is at a slant. So that tab, why is it not focusing? So that tab should be sitting up here somewhere and be clear of the bottom of that pan right there. Everything else looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim that, get it in place, and try to fit the radiator. And I also found out that the radiator, see, it's a single tab in the middle, that one's on the side. So I'm gonna have to cut that, weld it on the ends so it can mount those two little tabs in place. I got the cross member on. Where I had trimmed, you can see there's a gap. It clears somewhat, right? It hits a little bit right there. I'm gonna go ahead and bang that in when I pull the cross member back out. Aside from that little corner right there, I'm gonna bang this in a little bit with a hammer to kind of give it a little dent. Then I'm gonna weld all of the seams that I had trimmed off. I don't know what I did with it. So another issue I'm having now is the radiator lower port sits right on top of the cross member. You can see it right there at the bottom. That doesn't allow me to get the radiator to sit down, which is going to interfere with the hood. So I'm probably going to cut that all the way down to the flatter section of the cross member, and then probably have to trim this off and move it on the ends so that way it'll mount to the tabs on the end, since that is not an EF specific radiator. Then I'm gonna reinforce this, whatever. I think my brother's best bet is probably going to, we already spent a ton of money on the whole setup, so we were trying to like be on the budget. I had this traction bar sitting here, and we thought it'll work. I thought it'll work, but apparently not. You can see the innovative cross member down there. Obviously clears the radiator mounting tabs right there. So I'm probably going to have him get an innovative mount, or innovative traction bar, to eliminate the whole hassle of the cutting and the bullshit, so I can mount that without having to modify and alter the stock cross member. But I'm gonna work with it for now, brainstorm a little bit, and if I don't like the idea of that being cut too much, I'm probably just gonna pull the dash out and start with the clutch shit, because that's the only other major thing other than the drive shaft and exhaust system that I got to take care of before this car is done, aside from the radiator. So tired, sun's going down, and I'm thirsty. Okay, so took a cut-off disc, cut it straight down like so. I cut the square off the top of it right here, and then the first one I flattened it out with the hammer, which is this side of the wall. Boom, 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 boom. And then with the square section of it, the rounded part like this, it's now gone. I flopped the other one down, bang that motherfucker flat so you can see how it's on top of each other. That clears the lower outlet of the radiator, and I fitted everything already, so everything seems to be good. I'm gonna go ahead and get all my clearances right before I pull it out and weld everything. So I'm pretty much just gonna weld that, and then a plate right here. I'm gonna weld this a plate here to cover these holes and give it a little bit more structural integrity. This is the 07 Civic Si upper hose, and I trimmed about a good 3-4 inches off of it. Not 100% sure how much I did, but that's going to go right here under the intake like so. Radiator goes into place. This hose goes in here. like so. You see, the radiator sits straight like so. This has to be adjusted a little bit more. Granted that under the intake, the circular diameter of the inside of the hose becomes a little oval here before it goes there, but the diameter of this hose is so fat that even if it's ovaled out, that'll still be pretty good, significant flow. So I'm not worried about that. This is my intake anyway, so if I make one for my brother, probably like 2.5, 275, and try to steer away from ovaling out the diameter of this upper hose. But so you can see the radiator now kind of sits straight. Well, it's not straight just yet here. The tabs are not in place, so right now the hose is pulling the radiator a little crooked, but you can see it sits pretty straight, right? Hopefully it'll clear the hood, which wouldn't even matter because it's gonna be a giant hole in there anyways. And if this hits, I'll just cut this web out, no big deal. The lower hose, hybrid as fuck. Okay, so I got this little, it was a 90. I trimmed this one end right here. So this is a good like 2 inches, and then this is just a bunch of room to play with. Have not cut that yet. You can see here, it clears. Right. Alright, so I'm trying to knock this out. I had a steel plate, you can see it right there, or steel bar, one I showed earlier in the clip. So I cut a piece to shape. You can see it right here. There's a hole there. So here's a plate here that goes in place like that. Tack it in place, hammer it, close the gap a little more, and then weld it shut. You can see right here in the bottom, I've already welded that. At this point in time, I wish I had a MIG welder, but it's probably going to be the next thing I'm going to invest in since I already have a giant ass tank over there. But yeah, this will do the job. So this one's ready to go. Go ahead and fix this one in place and then fully weld it. I already trimmed this end here where it was touching oil pan. And then I'm going to weld all of that shut, that seam. And this should temporarily work until, I don't know, maybe sell the other traction bar, then use that as fun towards the innovative traction bar. But so far, everything seems to be very promising, and I'm gonna try to get this done before the night ends and continue the brake line stuff tomorrow, or clutch line shit tomorrow. So for my brother's car, I'm gonna be rocking a Spall fan here. Thank you, Eris, for hooking me up with this fan. I have the same one that's in my CRX, and sitting in traffic with the heat, it keeps the car fucking cool. So this should work out for this guy's car. The only problem I'm seeing right now is how thick this is. It might interfere with the slave here, but I'm gonna go ahead and mount it on. The Spall kit doesn't come with mounting kits, and Eris was generous enough to give me his mounting kit, and this one looks fancy as hell. So it slides on like so, or some way, somehow it mounts on, and then it mounts into your preferred locations. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted up, and cross member is done. I've already welded all that seam right there, welded the plates in here. So that should be golden. Prime it, give it some self-etch, get this mounted, get this in place, and see how everything works. Alright, so I just cleaned everything up. Cross member is mounted. I forgot to bang in the cross member a little bit to clear the oil pan a little bit more. But this motor mount's so solid, I'm not worried about it. Modified that section right here, so that clears the oil pan now. I don't have a hose clamp on here yet because I'm not sure if the cross member's coming back out for whatever reason. But it's easy accessible if I need to put a clamp in here. Self-etched this, so that's what I'm saying. The part radiator is gonna come back out so I can black that all out. It's still drying. The only issue I'm seeing as of now is how close that is to the fan, but they're not touching. So if I was to maybe zip tie the radiator more towards me, it'll open that gap up down there a little bit more. Again, the motor mount is so solid that I'm not worried about it rocking. But yeah, so radiator's mounted in place. It's not fully buttoned up because I'm sure it'll come back out for, you know, when I do the clutch and stuff. But as of now, that's where the radiator is going to sit, and I won't know if it'll touch this until I cut the hole for the supercharger. Until then, that's going to be it for this video. I know it's short, but you know, again, progress is better than no progress. Definitely the radiator is in place. I'm tired.